Hi everyone, welcome to today's design tutorial. It's been quite a while since I did these. I have been occupied with work. Fortunately, I think I'm done now, so I have more time on my hands to be able to go back to the weekly schedule as well. I have tons of tutorials I have planned, and so over the next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing like every. I'm going to try to keep the weekly thing going again. So within from Fridays to Sundays, I should find time to be able to do one of these tutorials to show you how to achieve certain creative design interactions inside of Figma or using Figma, using Spline and all of that. So what I'm going to be doing today is very, very simple. I'm going to start with something very simple and then we're going to keep working our way up. So this is something I've seen like on lots of creative websites. This is something I've seen when it comes to like how some companies or how some websites present their project sections. They tend to use like just plain text, and then once you hover over the text, some sort of effect happens. I think I've done something even like that before. Even on my portfolio website, I even have something similar as well. Although, sorry, although the interaction tends to vary um, depending on how the site wants to implement it. So this is how mine works, but we're going to be something slightly different today. So this is also another variation as well of that same effect. Once you hover the text, something happens. Either an image shows or it changes color, or something just happens. So this is one variation I did for my recent project, which by the way, I have published on Spline community. Like it's a whole detail. Sorry, on Figma community, it's a whole detailed design file where I go into showing my process, showing the actual design itself. So this is actually like the entire design. I can't play it right now, but you're going to see like the full websites. You're going to see like the 3D assets I used. You're going to see the prototypes as well, how I prototype each section. So it's a lot. I would recommend, if you're really interested in creative design, I would recommend that you go through this file and just like use it use it as much as you please. You are allowed to do whatever you want with it. You are allowed to edit. You're allowed to recreate. You're allowed to also implement if you want to. If you're a developer who's looking for things to add to your portfolio, you're allowed to develop and also add to your portfolio as well, as long as you, of course, like share with me and maybe reference or leave a shout out or something, so that other people can know where you got the file from and also be able to find it as well and use it for themselves as well. So yeah, let's try to not gatekeep when it comes to these things in design. So that's, by the way, what I'm going to be showing how to do today. Like I said, is the project section thing, and I'm going to be trying showing how to achieve this particular effect. That when you hover over any of the project, I'm going to call them project cards. These are not cards, or the project lines. You're going to see like a certain effect happen. An image appears from let me just say from thin air, appears from thin air, and just grows in size, and then color changes and just some fancy interaction they have going on. So you can see it's kind of nice. It's nice. It's nice. So let's see how we can. And again, I think the goal of this tutorials is not necessarily that you should be able to recreate this word for word. It's that you should be able to apply this knowledge into other parts, other things you want to create as well. Because the way I achieve all these things actually apply knowledge. I do one small thing, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? What if I apply this knowledge elsewhere? So that's how you grow as a designer. So this tutorial is just really just to to spark your own creativity as well and see how well you can apply this knowledge in other aspects of your design. So that's enough talk. Let's get to work. I'm going to draw a frame 1440 by 810. I'm going to make, I don't want to waste too much time, so I'm just going to copy the color codes from here. I'm going to copy this color code and change it to match 1F. Then I'm also going to just change this color to something like gray. Okay, I want you to be able to see where the actual design is. So let's call it viewport. Viewport is where I test my websites inside of. So I'm going to create this thing. The idea is to actually make this like a component. Just create only one of this and then use that component to create multiple, to create an entire project section. So that's the idea here. Let me just start by creating the component itself. Let's get started creating it. So I'm going to grab my text tool by pressing T and then just type project. Let's zoom in on T. Project goes here. Our project title goes here, whichever you prefer. Then I'm also going to add like the duration. Let's say duration. That's what comes to mind. Now maybe for yours, you might want to use something else. You might want to use the client's name. That's also something nice to use. You might want to use client name. I think let's even add something. Let's add something. We're going to add something to this one. We're going to add something to us. Let's maybe add like client's name goes here. Client name goes here. Just so we can do something unique that's unlike what I did in my original design. So client name goes here, then the project name goes here. So the client name is just going to be smaller, obviously. We're going to make it just so there's hierarchy. Okay. First of all, I want to make this the actual size that I prefer for my design. So I want to make it size 20. Did I do 24, 20? I think 20 is fine. I'm going to drop my design so I can compare and contrast and see how big it looks in contrast to the actual frame. So this one a mistake some people make. You just go straight to the font size. I mean, generally font size 16 is considered a great font size or a great base font size, but there are times where it doesn't look good in terms of the canvas because the canvas here is 1440 by 810. So if I were to just give 1 second to load the file up, so I think this looks okay, or it looks something like what I'm trying to achieve. Or let's make it 24 and just compare 24. Okay, so I think let's set for 24. Let's set for 24 instead. So I'm going to do 24 for my files, for my text size. 24. And then for this one, let's do something like 16 or thereabouts. 16. Nope, 16. So I'm going to also still put them in my design. I should not have even brought them out to begin with. Put them in my design and then compare the sizes and see if it scales very well, or if there's enough contrast. If there's enough visual contrast in the size. So I'm going to add more contrast by changing the weight to light. Then I'm also going to add even more contrast, create even more contrast by adding lowering the opacity, not opacity, making this one just a bit darker so there's visual. So yes, I think this works. This works. We can always iterate as we go. So the project name is going to go here, client name is going to go here, and then we're going to add duration as well. So that's the way I want to structure this particular this particular one. So then you're going to have something like this, like the duration here as well. So first thing I want to do is to start nesting things from the get-go, start nesting things. So let's call it left. Okay. Then I'm going to call this, I don't need to call it right or anything. Do I need to call it anything? I don't really think so. So let's just work with this. So I'm going to select everything, the auto layouts group that I have here, and then the text here. So I'm going to then create an auto layout as well. Shift A. So I just press Shift A, and then I'm going to select all the elements, and then press Enter, select everything, and then press Fill Container. So it fills the container. They fill the container, the available space in the container. Then I think there's a huge gap between them. So the gap, I want to make it 16 in size. 16 just works fine for me. Then I want to also make this project, I want to make sure that it spans, regardless of how small the thing may go, I want it to always span one line. I don't want it to it's never going to be this small, but I want it to span one line. So I was just going to go to this option here and then press truncate text. It's going to make the project truncate into one. You can set the amount of lines you want. You can say, okay, max lines, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, whatever you want to do. So, but for me, 1 line is just the sweet spot for this design. So I want this. Then the next thing, okay, this is fill. This is fill. I think this, I want to make it, okay, I think let's work with this. Let's work with this duration. Let's work with this duration. Or let's change to hot content instead. Make this one take up the more space. Make this left section, because it actually contains more information, more relevant information. So I want it to actually take up more space. This 3 weeks, 2 weeks is not really going to be a lot. It's not going to be too much. It's just probably going to be the count that's going to be changing. Maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. So let's work with this. So regardless of how much I stretch or reduce the size of this project, let's call it project details. Or project text, yes, let's call it text. Let's just call it text. Regardless of how much I stretch it, because of how the auto layout behavior of these elements, this left element is always going to be pushing this one to the left, to the right rather. So it's always going to be on the right. So this is how I'm structuring my work from the get-go. Then the next thing I want to do is to create an image. So you can see for this one, when I hover, an image appears. It appears by the left-hand side, and then this dot also appears here. The dot is not really necessary. The dot is just to add some visual complexity to the work, which is why I added it. So let's continue our work. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. I think I should do a rectangle first. Where's your rectangle? Well, I could do a frame, but I don't know. Frames just seem to be more problematic when you're using images with them. So I prefer to use rectangle. So I'm going to make it 16 by 9 because that's the preferred aspect ratio I like to use for my projects. Then I'm going to scale it up. Let's just do 120 for the height. I think 120 is a suitable one. I had used it before and I think I liked the look of 120. Then I'm going to add what's it called, a text. I'm going to draw, not really draw, let's just duplicate this one. Remove this constraint, change to 120 so it's a square, and then I'm going to lock it back and then change it 999. Just type 1 ridiculous size for the rounding and then change the height to let's say 10. Then also, so this dot is just like a small, it's not really, it's just a decorator, it doesn't really do anything. Then also I want to clean up the line height. I think I want to clean up the line height. What I want to do is just select both of these ones. This is not something you should necessarily do, it's just matter of personal preference. I want to make the line height 32, about 32. I think 32 is fine. Or I want to make it 24. Let's do 24. I know what, 32 is fine. 32 is totally fine. So this as well, I want to make it 18, just so it's a, what's it called? It's always an even number. I always lands on an even number. So yeah, for this one, I didn't really define the space between them. I should have defined the space to be something that falls on the multiple of 4 scale. So let's do 8 for the distance between them. So that's that. Then the next thing is I want to go back to working on stuff. So here I want to frame it. So it's optically aligned with this element. It's always optically aligned with this element. I want to frame it to have the same height as this, but not necessarily. I want to make it be in a frame that's the same height as this 32, but the element itself is not necessarily 32 pixels itself. So I'm going to just create a frame. So frame that is 32 pixels in height and width. I'm going to call this dot. Then I'm going to Ctrl C or Ctrl X and place it inside of the dot. Then align center. So whenever I put it, it's always optically aligned. Maybe not perfectly, but sort of optically aligned with the 2 weeks or with the text itself. So I'm going to move it up a bit. It's not necessarily, so you're allowed to break the rules if it fits your agenda. You're allowed to actually break the rules of design. So I've moved it up a bit because I feel like, okay, you know what, I want to make it even more aligned. So I think moving it up just 2 times makes it more optically aligned with the line of text that I am trying to align with. So that's that for that. So we've been able to create the key components that make up this particular design element. So I'm going to select everything now, and then I'm going to Shift A to frame them. So this way I already have like a, what do you call it? I have the key elements. So I'm going to make sure the space between them is also on the 4 pixel grid as well. If you don't know about the 4 pixel grid, something I use. So whenever I want to space things, whenever I want to space or size things, I always space and size in multiples of 4, 4, 4. If I choose size 4, it's too small, I add an extra 4 to make it 8, from 8 to 12, from 12, 16, 20, 24, so on and so forth. So the spacing between them, I want to make it 24. Okay. So 24 looks fine to me. If it doesn't look fine for you, you can actually make more changes, add more spacing and everything. So I want to also align top. So this align top left. That doesn't work for this element. So we might need to do some bit of tweaking here as well. We might need to nest this text and this together to see. This is actually causing a problem for. We might remove it because I mean it's just adding more complexity to the design we're doing, but it's fine. Let's work with it. So align top as well. So align top with this. So this way I have these elements that are nested together that operate independently of the parent the parent auto layout group. So I think this works for what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to make the space between OK 24. It works fine. So with that out of the way, the next thing I want to do is to make sure that it's set to fill container, and this is set to fill, so that it's always filling the available space. So I'm not really going to go into the nitty gritty of auto layout and how it works now, but I just want to test it to make sure it works. So it scales with the kind of project I want to work with. So yeah, it actually does scale. It's never going to get this small, but I'm just testing it for extra measure. So that's that for that. So I'm going to add a top and bottom padding now. I may actually add on the auto layout group, but I don't think I really want to do that. Let's call this project details. Let's call this project details. So I'm going to add a top and bottom padding of 24 pixels. 24. I think maybe 24 might be too much, but let's just add it regardless. So I'm going to add a stroke. So the stroke is going to be, by default, Figma adds a stroke around the entire element, but what I want is just top and bottom stroke. So I can just come here. Let me make the stroke bigger so you can see what's happening. So I'm going to come to this option here, strokes per side, click on it, go to custom, change this one left and right, left to 0, right to 0, then it remains just top and bottom. So I just want to set it to 1, 1 each. So 1 is what I'm looking for really. So that works for me. So here I am going to frame this rectangle. It's actually very important for what we're going to be doing next. Is it important? Is it important? You know, let's work with this. Let's not complicate the design too much. Let's work with this, and then if it doesn't work, we can always come back and then make more changes to it. Since we're working on a component based on a component, it's going to be easy to just implement changes across board. So with that done, I want to add a add a dummy image. I want to add a dummy image. So I'm going to go to interior, because I think I'm trying to do something for an interior website. I'm just going to pick let's pick this. Let's not waste too much time, because this actually is a complaint, genuine complaint, that there are times where I spend too much time looking for. I treat this tutorial as if it's a personal project. I mean, that's a good thing, but it can be a bad thing where when I start to let my my own biases of looking for the perfect image eat into the time that I'm supposed to be using to actually explain concepts on the call. So let's just pick that image, even though it doesn't necessarily look the best. And then we're going to, because again, the style I'm trying to go for is not to have colors. If you notice this one, all the images are always monochrome. So I'm trying to make that a theme for this particular project. So what I want to do next is to just set the saturation to 0, like just drag it to 0, and then the image becomes saturated. You might want to add more dynamism to yours by maybe adjusting the contrast, adjusting temperature, highlight, shadows, and all of that, but contrast is just fine. Sorry, saturation is just fine. Then the next thing I want to actually copy the color code. So I don't want to take this, copy it, and then paste it here. I don't want to have to switch between files, just copy color code. So the fill is the same as the background here, so you can actually not see it, but I don't think we necessarily need to do it. So let's just let's change this color. So this is the final state. The idea is that this is the final state of the, once you override, this is the final, that how it looks like in the final state. So what I like to do is that when I want to create any component or any design or any interaction even itself, you see these designs that you have here, these ones, I would create the final state first, and then I will backtrack from there, use the final state, and then start backtracking and creating like the the before state. So that's the same thing I'm trying to do here as well. This is the final state of the design, what is supposed to happen once the user hovers over the component. So I'm going to duplicate it and then create like the before state. For the before state, before I do that first, I want to, to do that rather, I'm going to scale this down. So I want to call it, first of all, I want to call it image, because I don't think I'm naming these things properly. I don't want to have to be confused in the future. Image, this, just call it anything. Main elements, let's call it main. Okay, so I'm going to Control C this, Control C, and then click on this one, paste to replace. So I can like actually replace it with something that's updated, that's more like this final version. So with that done, I'm going to just start scaling things down. So this one, you can see the interaction that happens when you hover over any of the components is that the image scales up from this invisible space here. So typically I would have done like a opacity where I just like do shrink, just reduce opacity to 0, but then I noticed that was kind of messy. It was not looking like I wanted, so I chose to go this route instead. You can do opacity for yours, but for me, what works is just scaling it down to a very, very small number. So ideally, Figma only lets you scale. What you're going to do is you're going to hold shift, and then scale things down. Hold shift and then scale it down. But Figma does one thing where it only lets you scale down to one, to I would not say factor of one, but if I'm scaling down, you can only get to one before it just tells you you cannot scale down any further. So that's what I actually want to scale it down even further than that. It's just a trick that most people don't know. So before I do that, I want to also make one more change the top and bottom padding to 16 instead. I think 16 looks better and better. So I'm going to delete this and just create a new copy instead. So I don't want to do the paste to replace again. So I want to press K on my keyboard, and then here I'm going to click 0.01. So you can see it's still there. It's actually still there. It's one tiny, really tiny dot, but it's so tiny that you can't actually see it. But Figma knows that it's still there. So, but for you don't have to worry about it still being there or not. And because of how I have set up my component with auto layout, it still works just fine. So I'm going to also do the same for the dot as well. The dot, before I do that, I want to make the dot white in color. To make it white in color, because the final version is supposed to be white. Then I'm going to scale, press K. Okay, I don't need to press K necessarily. As long as I have it locked here, I can do the scaling down thing, 0.01. I think 0.1 works as well, but then let's just do 0.01 to be safe. Then I'm going to click on this element, click on the main elements group, and then set the spacing to 0. Click on the actual project details, set the spacing, because like I said, Figma knows that the element is still there, so it's still adding that space in between the first element and the second and the other elements in the page. So you need to remove it, so it feels like this is the only thing you have in in that section here. So here, if you noticed, for this one I did the project title, or the project name rather, has this faint color. So it's when you hover over it that it becomes white. So I want to maintain that thing that I have going on. So I'm going to copy the color. I think colors, they are 9, 8 something. So you can copy the color codes once you copy the design. So I'm going to paste. I'm also going to replace the same color here as well. And just also going to do the same here as well. Then here I'm going to make the color white, because I didn't do that earlier. The color of the dots, I'm going to make it white. So I think we're good to go. However, one more thing is missing. I noticed one more thing is missing. So you can see that because the main element, this image you have here is what is making this project details as tall as this. So it's no longer there. So the project details has shrunk significantly. So its height is now 90 pixels. And the height here is actually 152. So I want to make sure that the height is actually the same across board. I don't want that messy situation. So I want to just select both of them, and then set it to just change to 152, because 152 is what this one was before. So I want to just maintain that. So with that done, I think we're good to go. The only thing is that I want to change the stroke color. Stroke color is black, so I want it to be a more subtle color instead. Instead of black, 1F is what I was using here. Okay, no 1F, 5F, yes. So I'm going to select both of them, go to the stroke, and then change it to 5F. So I think we're good to go. What I want to do now is start creating. So let's copy this, Ctrl C, paste it in the viewport, and then let's see how it looks. So I think this is how it's going to look. This is how it's going to look. But that's okay. That's totally fine. So let's just select both of them. And then create a component set. So go here, create component set. So that's what you do, and then you link both of them. So typically I will link them by using hover, like what's it called, when hovering. But I noticed that to have a more seamless interaction, you have to use something differently. So I'm going to show how to do that. So I'm going to first of all change this one to hover states, change the project property or the component property to hover, so that I don't have that error of same names again. So now I can start, go to prototype and start linking them to each other. So I just want to come here, and then I want to, where is this? Okay, I want to click on this thing, drag it, link it to this first one, link it to this one here, change it to mouse enter. So if the mouse enters this area, it should change to this. That's the idea. So I'm going to set the animation to smart animate, and I think 400 was, or 600 was what I did then, and then I did easy and out. So you can mess around with those settings to achieve your own desired animation. But for me, this is what I think I'm going to go for. I may change it, but let's see how it plays out first. So then I'm going to set the what's it called, the mouse leave animation now. So I'm going to go to on click, change it to mouse leave, and then change it to, I think, ease in or ease out. That was what I did. Ease out I did here, and then I did 400 because I want it to leave faster than it plays. So I'm going to just copy this, Control C, and then paste it here, and let's test it. So you can see it actually does work. It does work. However, the what's it called, this particular this particular element here has a funny behavior to it, and I think I know why it's happening. That's the dot. I knew it was going to cause complexity. I knew it was going to cause some complexity to it. So we're going to sort all those things out in a moment. Another thing I also want to try is that I want to switch positions of things. So I think I want this to be on the left. For this new one I'm trying to do, I want it to be on the left. So I'm just clicking on the element. I'm just moving it with my mouse, keep pressing left. Since it's totally, I'll just switch position. Then here I'm going to also select the dot. I'm selecting them from the what do you call it? From the layers panel, because it's really hard, since it's been shrunken down. It's very hard for me to be able to pinpoint where it is. So you can see it's very, very tiny. It's there. So I'm just going to press left rather, to move it to the left on my keyboard. So it's now here now. So let's see how it plays out. Oh boy, we have a problem. So you can see this one is messing up because we've not really set it in the other component. So let's do that here. Move it here. So you can see it works better now. So I think this is the direction we might want to go. This is the direction we might want to go. I think that should be the case. What I want to do is just make some small updates to it. The small updates would be to add like a a left padding here. So I want to add left padding now. I'm just going to come to the hover state and press select 24 or do 16, since we were doing 16 before. Let's do 16 here as well. Okay, so that works. What else do we need to set? I think we need to also add that padding here as well. Add it here as well, 16 as well. Okay. So I think we're good. We're good, really. What else? So a couple of things are still wrong. So this is actually how I actually troubleshoot my prototypes. So the next thing is to fix this small dot that seems to be appearing from an invisible space. The mistake I made was that I scaled it down, but the actual dot did not scale. So what I want to do is just go to the dot itself, set the rectangle to, so you can see it's center. It's center that's happening here. Scale, set to scale, and then I'm going to just Control C it. This is not really the optimal way to work, but I'm just trying to work with what I have. So I'm going to go to here, press 0.01. So it's going to scale the dot itself, because the problem is that here the one that's not working fine. Let's see. Let me show what I mean. So this is the dot. The dot size is 0.001. But if I were to click into it, you can see the rectangle is actually 10. Size is still 10. So that's the problem that's happening. I could just easily, what I could even easily do even self is just to click on the rectangle and then change it to 0.01. So it just scales down inside of the parent component, and then I can set it to scale. So next time everything scales up proportionally. So it should work. So you can see it works. Actually works fine now, although I think we've already made like a mess of things, so we might need to just even replace it totally. Let's see if this still works. because it's coming from the top and it's just looking unnatural, I guess. Or you know what? I think what's looking unnatural is really the height. It's really the height. So I would want to fix the height instead. So I want to click on the dots here, and then I want to change the height to. I want to unlink them and then change the height to, what was the height before? I think it was 32. So it's just the width that's messed up, but the height works fine. So yes, I prefer. You can see this feels like, I can't explain, but it just feels better. The way the thing is originating feels better. So this is how I spot and solve problems in my design. However, I think I am missing the look of that old one better. I think I prefer the image coming from here. There's just something about it that I prefer. So I think what I want to do here is just to, again, go into the component and move things around. So I'm going to select this thing here so I can work faster. I'm going to select it here. Figma actually has a feature where you can click on multi-edit variants. Okay, no, select matching layers rather. So click on it, and then so it's going to select the matching layer in this other component variant, and I can just press left, and everything, both of them are going to move to the left. And then here I'm going to select the what's it called, this icon, the dots, and I'm going to press press this button, select matching layers. It's going to select it, and then I'm going to move it to the right. So with that, problem solved, really. Problem solved. So that's how you solve, like that's how I spot and troubleshoot problems in my design. So I think this works for me. The next thing I want to do now is just to create in such a way that it is scalable, because ideally if I were to stack both of them together, it's going to be difficult to start going through them and then changing the name. If I haven't changed the name here, it's going to be difficult to change the image because it's a component. So it's just tricky business. So I'm going to set up everything so in a way that it's scalable. To do that, I just need to come to this place here, and start setting each of these elements, each of these things as component props. So you might not be really familiar with component props, but it's something that Figma actually had for a long time now. So you just to come here, click on the elements. If it's a text, click on the elements, go to the name. You can see text name, its project name goes here. So you can click on this thing and then press plus to add a new variable property. And then you can call it let's call it project because project title, that's the name. Project title, create property. Okay, then I'm going to come here, click on the client, and then press the same thing again, press add a new one and call it client name. And then I am going to go to the weeks and add a new one as well, call it duration. Okay, so that's that really. That's that. However, I made this silly mistake of not doing that for this thing as well, but it's fine because I've already created the component prop, so I can just apply it to this one. So I can just come here and then click on click on this object, this same thing, as if I want to apply component props, and just go to duration and select duration. So nothing's going to change, but then I have done the right thing. I've really just done the right thing, because next time if I want to edit, it's just editing both titles across board. So I'm going to do the same for these other ones as well. Click on it, select the project name, click on client name, select client name. So you're going to see how all these things come into play eventually. Just stick with me. So another thing I want to do is to set this, click on both of them, set the stroke, the origin to center. So I want it to come from center because of some certain reasons. You're going to see why. Because when I stack them together, if typically Figma applies the stroke inside of the element, but if I were to stack them together, it's going to be looking weird. So I find that applying to center is the best way that you actually can do this particular thing. So with that done out of the way, we can just select this one here. Like this one you see here now. This is a variant. This is like a, what do you call them again, Self? This is an instance of this component here. That's the word, instance. So I can just come here. You can see I already have the component props that are set for me. I can just come here, change it to let's say website marketing website redesign. I'll change the client name to Google. Then I'll change duration to 4 weeks. So I don't need to come here and start editing anything. I don't need to come here. Although there's an issue. There's an issue there. So these are the things you troubleshoot your design. So I think what's happening is that the thing has been set to width has been set to fixed, and I don't want it fixed. I actually want it hot content. So I just have fixed it with just what's it called, one click. So that's what I want to do for mine. So you can see it still remains the same across board. But if I had not applied it here, okay, let's say I come here now, and then I remove the component prop I applied to it, I may have messy results. So let's see if I will still have those messy results. So you can see it changed from 2 weeks. It reverts back to the to the original one that's in the component. And then when I hover over it, it changes to this other one. So it's just messy. So it's good you know how to apply component props. I just press Ctrl Z and it has applied the component props again. So now everything will work seamlessly. So that's just how to work more efficiently when you're working with these things. Then lastly, what I want to do is to apply a component props as well to the image. This might be a bit tricky, so I can actually come and change the images just as simply just as simply as I can change the text. I also want to do the same thing for the image as well. So for the image, I want to select it and then select matching layers as well. And then I think that's it really. I think for image, I don't really think you need to apply component prop to it. You just need to change the image anywhere and it's going to change across both. Let's put it to the test. Here, or maybe I should have created the image as an external component instead. So I'm going to stack it. Just create a component, a bunch, 1, 2, 3. Select them, auto layer them, and change these. So you can see that each of them has like a top and bottom. If I were to set it to 0, to just seamlessly integrate and you will not see any difference. But let me go and make a change now to this one so you can see what I mean. I'm going to select both of them, change the stroke origin to inside. So if I were to zoom in, this is fine. But if you can notice, maybe you can't be able to tell, but you can see that this line here is actually thinner than this line because this is two inner lines that are being stacked on top of each other. So it doesn't really work. It now makes the size 2. Like it makes the width 2 because this is one facing upwards, this one facing downwards. So making like this just makes the line thicker than it should be. So I noticed that setting the origin to center makes it work best. So with that done, I can just come here, change this one to let's say what's the word again itself? Homepage design. Amazon, let's say Amazon is the client here. Let's do 1 week. Okay, so you can see just change. I don't have to come here and start changing and manually going to everything to change. Here I can say I want to call it mobile app redesign for Apple. Let's say 3 weeks. Okay. Then this last one, let's just call one random thing, personal website agency. Let's just call REDESIGN. Let's say the idea is that this brand is called REDESIGN, which is weird because their website is mostly black. So you can see how each of them just interact with each other. So it's just very, very easy to create. So we can just, to add some visual pizzazz to the page, we can just say, okay, we want to add like a title, text here, a text here, call it projects. Where are we going to add it? So I just want to still make a couple of changes. So I want the left padding to be like something around 80 or thereabouts. So I'm going to just drag everything. So because I've been working with auto layouts from the beginning, you can see that I don't have any issues resizing. I don't have any issues at all. So if you want to be able to create responsive and scalable design, always try to work with auto layouts and know how to, even while you're working with auto layouts, know how to work effectively with it, because it's not all tutorial designs that are actually very, very effective. So because I've done mine effectively, it's easy for me to just resize, restructure, and do whatever I want, and it's not going to break everything. So I want to scale this up and just call it scale it to, let's say, okay, move it to center, tops, okay, scale it down a bit as well. Or let's call it our work. So this is not really part of the design. I'm showing you that, okay, how I'm going to structure a page if I want to design it myself. I could also add some dummy text here as well, and just some dummy text. Let me just grab some text from my other design. Control C. Okay, just dump it here. So this is not me trying to even design anything. I just want to just show you how I could use this design to create like something that looks like an actual website itself. I'll shrink it down a bit. So I'm not being too what's the word? I'm not being too perfectionist. I just want to just show you how it could work as a design itself. So this is just our work section. So you can see it kind of even looks good. I think it kind of looks good even self. So you can just scroll through and scroll down as well. I think I applied the scroll to the viewport, so I can just come here, go to vertical, set the overflow behavior to vertical, so I can scroll up and down. So yeah, this is how it's supposed to work. I think that's all. But like I said, for the image itself, you don't necessarily need to apply, what's the word? You don't necessarily need to apply a props to it. What you could do is click on, this is kind of tricky. I don't think I planned for the image. I don't think I planned properly for the image, but that's fine. Let's try. There's no harm in trying. There's really no harm in trying. So let's just change the image to upload from computer. Or let's upload. Let's use Unsplash as well. Unsplash, because I think Unsplash maintains the same consistency. So let's go for interior again, since we want to maintain that theme. Homepage design. You can use different images for yours. So let's just fill. Hopefully this works. Hopefully we don't have to make any extra changes to our design for it to work fine. So that's homepage design. Okay, it works. So you can see it works. I just had to change. I just had to select into the the component, and into the component, whichever state you are in. Most preferably the base. That's the base state. That's the default state, and change the image. Just click on the image. It's also going to apply the monochrome as well, because you're selecting from Unsplash, and Figma kind of is smart, so it knows that it should apply the same So I'm going to unclick component, and then I'm going to select into the image, and then just choose an image. Let's choose this red one. Oh, it has a watermark. So with that, I think we're done. So each of them has different images, and everything works seamlessly. So that's about it. So for next tutorials, I'm going to be showing how to create other things. I don't think I'm going to do a project section again. I will circle back to doing maybe this one that has like image in it. But then if you already have understanding of what I just showed you, you can be able to find how to create this for yourself. But if you don't, you will have to wait for like another tutorial as well. So in next tutorials, I'm going to be showing how to create like a bunch of things. Let me play this. This is not the properly structured file. So let me just quickly open the file for you and show you what you can find in this particular design, because I actually did a lot of work in it. So it was a personal redesign project. So I just want to show you what you can find in the file. So this is how the file looks. I'm just going to preview it quickly before we go. So this is 3D I've done. Yes. Why is it so plain? So yes, that's basically it. I have all these files in design. You can find it on my Figma community. Like I said, I'm going to link the file in this what's it called, in this video, so you can find it at the bottom and then go through it, like dig through it thoroughly, and you have access to all my files. You can do whatever you want with it. You can remix it, tweak it. You can build it even self and add it to your portfolio. I didn't get to finish the mobile version, so you are welcome to even do that yourself and then tag me and say, oh, I've helped you finish the mobile version. That would be really, really great. So that's basically it. Thank you for staying to the end, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Take care.